Good day, one and all, and I welcome you all to another session of Agree to Disagree. Today's session, we are having with us very senior ophthalmologists and orthoplastic surgeons, Dr. Shruti and Dr. Akshay. And today we are going to discuss this very small issue which often bothers most of the pediatric ophthalmologists and pediatricians as to how do we manage congenital nasolacrimal duct obstruction, like whether we go with a probing or whether we go with an early surgery, or when do we refer, and things like this. I don't think it's exactly a debatable topic, but at least we can formulate some guidelines and help you along with it. So over to you, Dr. Shruti. We'll be talking on congenital nasolacrimal duct obstructions and her experience with probing and surgery. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Saptagirish. In the next couple of minutes, we'll just go through my broad preference in managing congenital nasolacrimal duct obstruction. So conventionally, by first birthday, that is before about 10 to 12 months, the success rate for syringing and probing is not debatable at all. It has a good outcome. When it comes to 18 to 24 months, I would say that it is still effective. And then I leave it to the parents if they really want. I would say that, get it done before 1 year. But if they want to wait for various reasons, up to 24 months, I would leave it for the parents' preference after all the risks and benefits being explained to them. But then again, the time of intervention in managing CNLDO is still debatable. So this is the routine syringing and probing that we do. First done with the upper punctum, and then I do it with the lower punctum. It is just the preference. They say the upper punctum is a surgeon's punctum and lower punctum is a patient's punctum. That is what is usually told. You can see that mild pressure resistance, and then once the resistance is out, overcome, it is there in the nasolacrimal duct. And similarly, it is done in the lower punctum as well. So this was the time when I did not have the endoscope. And sorry. So this was when I did not have the endoscope, and so I would. Sorry, it got stuck. Okay. So what I would do was I would inject the fluorescein dye from the upper punctum, and then you stick in the suction apparatus in the lower inferior meatus, and then see for the outflow of the fluorescein. But then next, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So this was the time when routine syringing and probing is done. And this was a time when, as I told you, when I didn't have the endoscope, I would push in the fluorescein dye from the punctum and then retrieve it through the suction apparatus here. So that way you're kind of sure that you've reached the right place. But then now I would not say that this is a luxury list anymore. I think this should be the armamentarium in any nasolacrimal duct obstruction procedures, especially when you want to, confirmation is mandatory. And also in a congenital dacrocele where there is an inferior mucocele where you want to do a drainage and marsupialization, the endoscope is of utmost importance. So, but what if the child is older? Then it becomes a kind of a debatable topic, more debatable topic, especially if the child is older than 2 years. So according to a lot of papers, simple syringing and probing without intubation has got a poor outcome. So what I do is I couple primary, I do syringing and probing and couple it with the primary bicanalicular intubation, which gives a better outcome. And depending on the nasal anatomy, if there is a very crowding of the inferior turbinate, I always couple it with inferior turbinate infracture. And repeat probing, if there is a failed probing, then I would still do a repeat probing with the tubes. But if the patient is kind of affordable, then I would slightly incline towards balloon dacroplasty. So this is a routine, starts off with a routine probing. And you inflate the, you withdraw saline into the apparatus. And there are two markings here. One is the 15 mm marking and one is the 10 mm marking. So you insert it to the 15 mm marking and inflate it at 8 atmospheric pressures for 90 seconds. Then you deflate it. So you can see we are seeing it in the endoscope. So visualization is again important. Then later you deflate and inflate it at 8 atmospheric pressure for 60 seconds. And deflate again. Now retract the catheter for a 10 millimeter marking. So you can see that you can retract it at a 10 millimeter marking and repeat the process. And you can deflate it, remove the tubes. And unlock that, remove the saline, unlock. And then you can slowly remove it. But then it is always couple it with a bicanalicular intubation like this. Okay. So children older, or this is usually done in children older than 24 months. And if there is a failed probing in older children, and if there is also syndromic association. So the American Academy has told that the success rate of balloon dacroplasty is higher in plain syringing and probing rather than if they have already had a primary failed silicone intubation. So I would prefer a graduated and a stage treatment concept. So this this heading, I picked it up from a Korean journal. I mean, a German journal. I wish I could read this article, but it was all in German. So they have actually told how a staged treatment concept that they follow. So if it is DCR, I would prefer if it is unresponsive to probing, or if it is a little conventionally, they say 4 years and above DCR. I have done my experience with syringing and probing and primary intubation has been successful. The oldest child that I have done was a 6-year-old and still fine. But then let's hear what Akshay's way of handling would be. He prefers early DCR intervention, DCR and early intervention. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Saptagirish. I should stop sharing.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti.
So for the benefit of the audience, we know congenital nasolacrimal duct obstruction, the etiology itself is that there is a membrane at the valve of Hassner, which opens up in the nose. At this site where there should be an opening which drains the nasolacrimal, drains the lacrimal sac into the nose, instead of an opening, we have a membrane. But in 95% of all live births, this membrane opens up by the first month of life. And in the remaining 5% in whom it doesn't open up, 88 to 96% of those 5% resolve on their own by 1 year of age. So the true number of live births that we actually see who present with CNLDO is so small, but yet we are debating so much about it. And it can present in multiple ways. You can have matted lashes, a dacryocele, acute dacryocystitis, which can progress to orbital cellulitis. You can have a lacrimal fistula. As Dr. Shruti said, at about 1 year, the ideal treatment of choice is probing. And prior to 1 year, you would just advise lacrimal compresses. And this chart is very key. This is from an old paper by Dr. Honavar and Dr. Chandrasekhar, where they have spoken about the spontaneous resolution probability of CNLDO. And you can see by the time the child reaches his first birthday, the chances that CNLDO will resolve on its own or with lacrimal compression alone is almost 0%, which means that anything above the age of 1 needs to be probed. And I think we are on the same page on this. But so when we talk about is probing the best thing for nasolacrimal duct obstruction in children, or is DCR the first treatment of choice, I don't think we can, we really have much to debate about this. My only caveat is that in certain conditions, we need to be a little more aggressive, and identifying those things are important. So probing typically done about 12 months of age. I usually in a normal, previously unprobed child till about 5 years of age would give a trial of probing, where I would speak to the patient's parents about the possibility of, having to repeat the procedure later on. Anything beyond the age of 5, I do what is called probing SOS DCR, which means that if I do probing and at the time of probing, it comes out to what is called a complex NLDO, which I will discuss further. We previously take the consent to convert to a DCR at the same time. Probing always is best to be done with the help of an endoscope. But like I said, probing is not the solution for all cases. So when we talk about complex CNLDO, these are conditions where we see bony obstructions, where we see craniofacial syndromes or buried probe. And anatomically, up to almost 11% of all CNLDO patients can have different ways instead of just an imperforate membrane. You can have what is called a buried probe, where the lacrimal sac, the distal part of the nasolacrimal duct, opens well within the lateral wall of the nose. It could be an incomplete bony canalization. It could be a lateralized intraturbinate sac, or it could be a misdirected sac, which doesn't open up into the turbinate at all, the middle meatus at all. So all these things can be confirmed only through endoscopy, where regardless of what procedure you do, whether it is a probing with attempted intubation, or even infracture of the medial turbinate, none of them are going to help. Even a balloon dacryoplasty will not help. Even in cases where we have a congenital lacrimal fistula, in many cases, we'll have to do a DCR along with a fistulectomy. What about ophthalmic emergencies, which are rare, conditions where you have a retinal detachment where surgery is urgent and impending? I mean, you would rather operate earlier than anything else. Say, for example, there's a corneal ulcer that needs to be treated, a congenital cataract that needs to be operated and to avoid the risk of amblyopia, or any other intraocular surgery which is vision threatening. You would rather do something more aggressive than to perhaps do compression or probing and hopefully wait for it to resolve on its own. Also, as Dr. Shruti alluded, a lot of these cases have syndromic associations. This is because these syndromic associations are largely arising from craniofacial abnormalities. Now, this is a comprehensive list of all syndromes, and primarily, these are structural abnormalities that involve the craniofacial clefts. You have Chard syndromes, you have Goldenhar, and all the other anomalies where there is a structural abnormality in the development of the craniofacial architecture. So here again, we know that it's not just a question of an imperforate membrane that needs to be probed and opened up, and we need to do a DCR. So as Dr. Shruti alluded, conventional knowledge tells us that the minimum age for a DCR is 4 years of age. The reason being that pneumatization of the sinuses and complete growth of the paranasal sinuses happens by the time you reach 4 years of age. And opening up the sinuses, as one does in a DCR, and creating a large ostium, can lead to some facial asymmetry as the child grows later on. Typically in pediatric DCRs, I like to place a stent and use intraoperative mitomycin C. But like I mentioned in the cases earlier that I discussed earlier, you would want to be a little aggressive and do a DCR. The youngest child in whom we've done a DCR with a good outcome was 1 year of age, 11 months actually, where the child has bilateral congenital cataracts and had frank rhoplase on pressure, where we really could not do a probing and wait and hope that it resolves. We went in and did a simultaneous bilateral DCR followed by a congenital cataract surgery. So I don't think this is a debate of when probing or DCR is needed. I have personal reservations against balloon dacryoplasty, possibly because it does not work well in my hands, and also because patients are not always amenable to this because it's not economical everywhere and available at every center. Which brings us to the idea that we need to offer customized solutions to each case. Older children who obviously may not resolve to probing, patients who've undergone multiple failed procedures, including probing and balloon dacryoplasties, complex CNLDOs which need to be diagnosed intraoperatively or at least have a suspicion prior to initial probing, patients with craniofacial abnormalities and syndromic association, and coexisting urgent ocular comorbidities that need to be addressed immediately are conditions where I would consider going in early and doing a DCR which may not always be the case of waiting till 4 years of age, could be even earlier. But until then, till a child is 1 year of age, just lacrimal sac compression. 1 to 4 years probing. Beyond 4 years is when we think of all these conditions and the possibility of needing to do a DCR.
Thank you, Dr. Akshay, and thank you, Dr. Shruti. I think as we were mentioning earlier on, that it's not actually a debate that we're thinking about, but we're looking at the options available that at that age. Sometimes pediatric surgeons were referring to us, they're not very sure. So they'll say, just why maybe go with the DCR. And you actually tell them that no, actually the child may do better with the probing. So with that in clarity, I think we all have a consensus that at least up to 4 years, we can always definitely give a try for probing and syringing if required with balloon lacroplasty, depending on the experience, because that may actually work out better. And of course, unless there are serious comorbidities, in which case, even at a younger age, even at 6 months, 7 months also, you may have to plan to do a DCR because you cannot wait and have time that the probing and syringing is going to work. So if that is a consensus, then I think we just close it, and I hope this is beneficial to our audience. And I hope this clarifies most of the doubts that they always keep having. Thank you, Dr. Akshay, and thank you, Dr. Shruti.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. That was quick.
Just stop the recording.